Guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, especially if you love college football as much as I do. Should Michigan be favored to win the Big Ten championship again in 2023? Absolutely, they should be favored. If there was another team that could win it, it would be Penn State. And I'll tell you why. Penn State really impressed me this past year. I know Michigan beat them by a lot of points, but let's be realistic here. There was a run game that Michigan had was good against everybody except TCU, for some reason. But they ran the ball on almost everybody, and they had Blake Corum in that game. Let's be honest, if Blake Corum had played against TCU and even Ohio State, it would have been a lot different. They obviously weren't the same without Blake Corum. And I think Penn State could have beat or at least played a closer game if Blake Corum didn't play, if I'm being honest. And it was in a big house. So Penn State is my second favorite team to win the Big 12 championship. Big 10, excuse me, not Ohio State. And I know Ohio State's by far the most talented team in the Big Ten, one of the more talented teams in the country. But they've been on a decline for the last few years. 2019, they made the playoffs, but they were clearly a physical, dominant team on both sides of the ball. They got screwed against Clemson. And I'll admit that as a Michigan fan. 2020, they did make the national championship, but they got destroyed by Alabama. 2021, no playoffs. They got beat by Michigan at Michigan. They lost to Oregon at home. No Big Ten, nothing major. A Rose Bowl is great, but it's Ohio State. They expect to do more, as they should, because they're Ohio State as far as football goes. They're the cream of the crop. Coming from a Michigan fan. They still are today, talent-wise and winning-wise. 2022, this past year, they did beat Notre Dame, who didn't really turn out to be a top 10 team as far as the program goes, because you're under new leadership with a coach who's very inexperienced with Marcus Freeman. They barely beat Penn State. Michigan beat them more convincingly. And really didn't beat them with that much of a struggle. Again, we had Blake Corum, but again, it's what it is. They struggled with Northwestern. They did lose to Michigan at home very badly. And the only reason they got into the playoffs is because USC couldn't do their job and win. So with that being said, I expect them to really continue to decline. And I know they had an amazing game with Georgia, but if you're a real big football guy, you look at the whole game. Ohio State proved they could not play 4 quarters with a really good football team, with an elite team. They couldn't do it with Michigan. They couldn't do it with Georgia. They're 2 losses. You know what I mean by that? No touchdowns in the 4th quarter. And you give up touchdowns in the 4th quarter. You did it with Georgia. And Georgia's defense, pass defense, not defensive line scrimmage or anything, but the pass defense was not very good. You lit them up. Okay, LSU did the same thing. Was LSU a top 10 team? No. So what's so special about that? So I just noticed something going downhill. And the way Ohio State plays football, they're not, I'm not going to say soft like some of us do, like Uncle Lou. Shout out to Uncle Lou, by the way. But they're not a very physical team along the line of scrimmage. A team like Michigan, who's really good but not as talented as them, should not be able to push them around the way they've been doing the last few years. I'm just being realistic here. I'm not here to talk trash about Ohio State, but that's just what I've seen. So with that being said, and now that C.J. Stroud is gone, you're telling me Ohio State's going to be about the same, if not better? The defense can only carry it for so long, and to be honest, you got the same defensive coordinator. Yes, I think Ohio State's defense will be better, but how much better? And I think Ohio State's offense will regress regardless of who plays quarterback. It's hard to replace C.J. Stroud. It's hard to replace Justin Fields. And the way y'all play, physicality-wise, that concerns me.